Hi everyone, how are you? It's Claire here from theleadersinlove.com, keeping it real to heal. Before we go on, I do have a dress on. I know it looks a bit raunchy, but I am being decent in these video blogs. Everyone, sorry. So last night, following on from my little adventure, my daily blog, I went to Kean's event last night, Kean Buckley from Be Yourself Personal Development. He had a talk, 7 keys to success and abundance, or love and abundance, something like that. It was $40 for 3 hours. It was at a place in Nerang. There was about maybe 16 to 20 people there, it was cool. It was a good little turnout. Obviously, I have to pay Kean next week because my finances have been a bit challenging this week, but he was beautiful about it. He knows how much I value his work, so really glad I went. Learned a lot. We talked about ego, we talked about reaction, we talked about illusion, how many people are in illusion a lot of the time. So what exactly is illusion? Is this an illusion? Could be. YouTube, yes. Really though, illusion's like when we get stuck in a story. So say you have an argument with someone, say someone gets upset if you don't call them or whatever, and instead of getting on their case for not calling them or them not calling you, you kind of realize why you're upset. So you're actually upset because you might like the person and they just haven't called you, right? It's not the fact that they actually haven't called you that hurts. It's the fact that they're not showing you love or whatever. I'm not really explaining this very well. Okay, let's try another example. Okay, so basically, this is hard to describe, this spiritual stuff. All right, let's say something feels heavy and something feels light. When something feels light, you feel good, you feel connected, you feel inspired. When something feels heavy, it doesn't sit right, like it won't feel right. So for example, if someone's telling you the truth, like right now, you guys can tell I'm telling the truth, or hopefully you'll be able to tell I'm telling the truth because I'm excited, my body language is congruent. You would tell if I was making stuff up, right? So if I said, yeah, I'm really, really happy I'm really happy right now about my financial situation. Like, so happy. You know I was bullshitting, okay? Pardon my language. I don't know if I even can say that on YouTube. So that's the first thing, recognizing, feeling light, what's congruent, and then you recognize that with other people. That's what's real. If something feels heavy, then that's illusion. That's not real. That's the reaction, or the little I, as Kean puts it. So the bigger I is inspiration, energy, feeling good. The little I is where you might put other people down. You might give them a hard time about their life, or say that they need to quit this or do that. And that's actually then you're kind of going into illusion. So you might take on other people's energy and feel bad. Like you might just get off a phone call with someone and you feel crap and you feel bad and you don't know why. It's just because you've had an energy exchange and it hasn't been real. It hasn't been a genuine conversation. Maybe you've got into projection, or yeah. I really don't know if that helped explain it much, but that's the best way I can do it. So I guess it makes you aware of how much of your life you are congruent. And I would like to think, yeah, I'm pretty congruent. I tell the truth and I do all this stuff. But then, how Kim was saying was, even though we might be congruent and really authentic a lot of the time, there will be points where you can't always do what you say you're going to do, or something happens and people know, like people can feel it when you're not telling the truth or you're lying or whatever. So for example, this week I had people calling me creditors and I didn't want to pick up the phone because I knew if I picked up the phone and they asked me if I could pay money, I wouldn't be able to say yes. Like I couldn't lie to them because it would be too obvious. They'd feel it that I was, I really couldn't make the money. So I just preferred not to deal with it. But that's, a choice I've made this week, but it's only with one particular thing, which I'll get sorted out as soon as possible. So it's quite interesting how it all plays out in your life, like with your dynamics, with your money, and, you'll see all these top entrepreneurs going, yeah, my life is amazing. They'll post all these pictures of them on holidays and all this stuff. But then you might see them in a talk, you might see them in person, and you can feel something's not quite congruent. But of course, there's a lot of people out there that are congruent, they are authentic. It's having awareness. So it's about learning to trust your own awareness a lot more and your intuition, and not necessarily buying into other people's stories or illusions. So it was a really interesting night. I'm really glad I went. And of course, as this whole video blog is rolling out, Cameron and Les Ambrosa Smith, I think I've said their names right, and they're two of the most amazing healers on the coast. They've done a lot of work with love, and Lisa in particular has done a lot of work with women around their sensuality and clearing their energy for, babies and all that kind of stuff. And I actually ended up talking to them at the end of the night, and spoke to them about the radio show and the podcast and what I'm doing, this whole little Leaders in Love website and the video journal. And so that's going to be one of my next reviews. I'm going to go have a session with her, and then I'll talk about that. And she's amazing. I've never been to her, but she's really well known here in Queensland and around Australia as well. So that was pretty cool. So kind of things are just happening in the flow, which is great. And then today also I was at the beanbag stand, and of course some totally random guy comes in. His name's Victor, and he's got some machine. It's called a Schumann blade or something, and you go in it and then it spins you around and it works with all your energy. And he was telling me all this stuff, how it can cure cancer and it can cure asthma, and like his back, he had this accident and he couldn't walk and he was a mess, he was a cripple, and the doctor said he needed to have surgery, like fusion, get his spine fused or something. Anyway, he found this machine, started working with it, and then he was up and at him and ready to roll. So I was like, okay, cool, must be meant to go to Victor to go test out this Schumann blade or whatever. So he's another guy that I'm going to review and talk about his work. And they also do some blood analysis and a few other really interesting holistic kind of healing modalities. So I really don't know where this little journey is going to go, but already it's easy. I've already got 2 more opportunities for upcoming blogs, so we'll see what happens with all that. So that's pretty much it. Big news, just going to keep rolling with it. Opportunities, funnily enough, starting to come in for Love Doctor and for my See Selfie program, which is going to be fine-tuned now towards working with the men, especially coming out of a relationship. Maybe they want to get back with their wives or with their girlfriends. So it's really interesting how it's all just kind of progressing ever since I had that session with Mari around clearing energetics on the family line and poverty consciousness and everything else. So we'll see what happens with work and money and everything else over the next week. But already I've got another opportunity for an event, speaking event in May, this opportunity in the UK. So yeah, it's funny, literally like 2 days and things have already started to shift. So I'm feeling a lot more positive, even though I've still only got about $10 in my wallet. And again, today I was like, man, how am I going to get through? I don't have much food today. And then I was just like, come on, universe, like hook me up. Like I need some food here. Like I know I'm supported. I believe I'm supported. Show me love. My mum, bless her, she's been amazing too, really helping me out this week. But yeah, today at the stand, I was talking to some guy, comes in, he starts talking to me and asking, what do I do, blah, blah, blah. And told him some of the stuff that I don't usually tell people while I'm at the other job what I do, unless they ask what else I do. He's coming out through a relationship, divorce, blah, blah, blah. He's telling me about he's going to get a nose job. And I was like, why? You've got the most amazing nose. He had quite a strong nose. He was like, it's, my last partner said it was too big. And I started talking about how it was his solar plexus and his drive and his career and his money and everything else. And it just changed his whole demeanor. And it was really cool. And then we ended up having this conversation. I ended up sharing some business stuff and a few insights with him. And he's actually booked in for a session with me, first of the See Selfie for the program, for the mentoring program to do with the relationship stuff. Anyway, then he decides to, he's like, oh, can I get you anything? Can I get you a coffee? Do you want a coffee? I was like, yeah, you know what? I'd love a coffee. That'd be great. And so he goes and buys me a coffee and then comes back, talks a bit more. And then he's like, can I get you anything else? Do you need any food or, what do you want? And I was like, you know what, salad? I'd love a salad. Salad would be great. So he goes and buys me a salad and then comes back again. Oh, water! Can you know get what you want another coffee? And I was like, no, water's great. So I ended up having all this food, like 2 coffees, and salad, and having a really interesting conversation and getting a client from today just at work. So it was pretty funny. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm starting to get really quick evidence of some of these things actually starting to make a difference. And maybe that's just me as well, thinking it's like, when someone gives you a placebo and then it's like it works by default. You go, oh yeah, automatically I know I'm a multimillionaire, I know I'm this and that. So you just start to attract it because you're in that space. So whatever the reason, I don't really care, but it was pretty funny. So I got looked after today and looks like I'm going to be sweet to get through till, my pay, which is good news. So that's it for today. Leaders in Love, make sure you sign up to our newsletter if you haven't already. You've got the radio show as well, Leaders in Love, every Wednesday, Rabbit Radio 10 to 11. And we've got the podcast series coming out soon as well. So hopefully by the time you guys watch this, we'll actually have the podcast up on iTunes, but we'll just have to see how we go. So until my next video blog, which will be tomorrow, take it easy and have fun, and I hope you're learning lots from my little journey as we go through this. So yeah, be yourself. Kean Buckley, personal development, amazing stuff. He runs retreats, all kinds of things. Again, we'll have links to his stuff on the website here. And another thing, Kean's actually said he's going to have a session. He's going to do a session for me this week on business and money as well. So I'm going to do a session with him and then I'll review it as like I've been doing with everyone else. So it's kind of like a mini review of the event last night, but Kean's actually going to give me a proper session too, which will be great. And then I'll talk about that as well.